All right, so I wanted to record this video because first and foremost, I wanted to share with you all some mistakes that I made in the beginning and really go through the detail and hopefully help many of you not repeat some of the mistakes that I did in the beginning. And this really all boils down to evaluating a deal, right? Whether option A or option B is a better option for you. So let's go through this again under the guise of not repeating mistakes that I made in the beginning. So obviously, one of the things you have to do as investors, you have to be able to compare various properties, and compare property A with property B, and sort of figure out which is the right one for you. So we're gonna actually take two properties. We're gonna generic them down to make them similar, and sort of run through different options, and then allow you to sort of compare which one might be best for you. We're going to talk about what else might be different, right? Because sometimes it's not all about the numbers, and then talk about some lessons learned. So, one of the first things you need to realize is that I was a busy professional. A lot of the stuff I do on this channel is really geared towards that busy professional who doesn't have a lot of time, right? You're not in the city that you're investing in. You don't have construction skills nor the time to really do sort of fix and flips and things of that nature. So that's really who I'm creating this for, because that's who I was, and it was some of the mistakes that I made in the beginning. One of the things that I often focused on in the beginning was price. And frankly, now price is one of a few factors. It's not that it's not important. It's that a lot of other things are probably more important than price, certainly in the beginning where time is your big factor. The other thing I missed is time to start receiving cash flow, right? There's one thing to receive cash flow the first month you got it, and then there's another one to sit for 6 months while you deal with just headaches and challenges before you start getting cash flow. And then lastly, really appreciating in the beginning that you're going to be investing, having conservative financing, some long-term fixed rate debt. So, lots of things to be thinking about. So we're going to compare two properties. It's going to be the sort of well-used and rented under market versus the pride of ownership that I talk about. And again, I'm sharing this with you because I made the mistake of buying well-used and rented in the beginning. So we're going to just genericize this down. Both of them will be 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. In this case, this one's rented for $900, where maybe market rent's $1,200. We're going to say it's priced at 140 grand. So obviously it's a little bit cheaper than the other one will be, which you'll see in a minute. We're going to estimate the cost of repair at $30,000, which is not uncommon. You got to do a kitchen, bath, and paint, floors. You're at least 30 grand. We're also going to say, hey, if you did this, you're going to quote unquote force appreciation. You're going to get sweat equity, whatever you want to call that. This is something that I worked on in the beginning or focused on, and again, it's a mistake, and hopefully you'll see that in a few minutes. We're going to just assume 30% down. Again, just trying to be as consistent as possible. In this case, 30% of 140 by my math is 42 grand. My estimated mortgage payment is $490. Again, I think I took 6% interest only or something. I'm not sure, but again, it's an estimate, but I used the same interest rate for both properties. So this time it's going to be compared to a pride of ownership, meaning it's brand new, or it's fully remodeled and leased. We're going to say it's rented at $1,200. We're going to say the price is $190, so $50,000 more expensive. The repair cost is going to be zero. Forced equity is going to be zero, right? You're not forcing any equity, you're essentially paying retail. 30% down is going to be $57,000, and then your mortgage payment is going to be $665, right? So, again, we're trying to just genericize the house. So you can see the pride of ownership is $50,000 more. However, it's $300 more in rent. What you should hopefully be keying on already is that your repair cost is nothing in one example and $30,000 in the other. And I'm sure we'll cover this in a minute, but the well-used and rented is going to cost you 72 grand out of pocket, right? You have to do your down payment of 42 plus your repair cost, not to mention time. So already, hopefully, you're seeing, while one may be priced more expensive, if you're a busy professional, hopefully one is starting to jump out at you, but we'll go through this again, obviously, in more detail. So here's the deal, right? I bought this kind of property in the beginning. I would say probably 6 of my first 8 properties were this, because I was focused on the wrong thing, and the wrong thing was price and price alone. It was a mistake, and really the story sort of often unfolded like this. Right? I was going to buy a cheap property and raise the rents. right? It's going to take the 900 to 1200. So, we close, we raise rents. Tenants often revolt. Best case is they leave. Often, though, they didn't leave. They just stopped paying and milk the eviction process for all it's worth, 3-4 months, whatever it takes. And then, oh, by the way, after all of that, I have 90 to 120 days to remodel. And then, 30, 45 days to rent, after spending 45 days. So, in this case, I often lost 4 or 5 months of rent, which obviously I still had mortgage payments. I had to deploy another $30,000, which I could have used on another purchase, frankly. And again, it's why it was such a big mistake in the beginning for me. So hopefully you're starting to see this, right? Your time to cash is delayed significantly, and your total cash out of pocket for a well-used property is, a lot more, frankly. I wish I had done this more in the beginning, right? I wish I'd bought pride of ownership just because I didn't have time. I should have been focused on saving down payments and looking for the next deal. It would have saved cash, which is for a new investor is critical. The other thing is the property is already leased when I buy it, so I don't have to wait to fill it up, right? I don't have to advertise, credit checks, all that stuff. You're starting to receive cash flow day one, right? You move in, you buy it, you get deposits, you get whatever rent credit is for the rest of the month, depending on when you close. Tenants already staying there, right? They're fully leased, it's fully remodeled, they have a history, and most of them aren't going anywhere. There's no repairs, hopefully, knock on wood, for the first 2 to 5 years, right? Because it's already been fully remodeled. So no extra cash out of pocket, and again, you're already collecting market rent. So it's a much different story for pride of ownership. You're saving total cash and you're getting cash flow day one. So this is a mistake again, right? I assumed pride of ownership, or I was focused on hey, this is 190 grand, it's more than 150, but it's a mistake when you really break it down and what's important to you. So hopefully you're starting to see this now. So again, right, the well-used property, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, the total out of pocket was 72 grand. I lost somewhere between 2 and 5 months of rent, depending on whether the tenant just left or I had to go through evictions. I did get, quote unquote, 20 grand in forced equity. It's, some people focus on that, but it's not really real money unless you sell your asset. And then you have transaction costs and all these other things that kind of eat into that. So it's, I guess it's interesting to talk about. It might make you feel a little better, but you should really be focusing on the fact that you have 72,000 out of pocket. And again, your cash on cash return is going to be extremely weak when you sort of step back, look at the fact that you lost 5 months, you had to spend another 30 grand in make ready. So it's not particularly good investment. The pride of ownership, right? You only had $57,000 out of pocket. So, quite frankly, at least $15,000 less. You lost no time, right? You started collecting rent. In fact, you got rent credit and down payment credits when you closed. You have no repair costs when you move in. Forced equity is 0, but again, doesn't matter. And you get solid cash on cash returns because you're getting it right away. You don't have any evictions. You don't have any extra cash. And then again, you're able to sort of, using conservative financing, really budget what you want to pay every month for your mortgage payment and really control what kind of cash flow you have. So again, hopefully by now you're seeing that the pride of ownership property is the right thing to do. It's actually, frankly, why I'm creating them, because I'm trying to help investors start in a better spot. What else is different? Which one do you think causes more stress? All right, I think it's obvious. It's the one that was 150 grand, right? It was cheaper, but then you had to deal with evictions, lost rents, repairs, contractors, all kinds of stuff. One of them is going to consume a lot of your time, right? One of the things that I talk to busy professionals about is you'd love to have an asset that you don't think about, maybe except once a month when you're depositing that mailbox money. Right, if you have to start about evictions and 3-day notices and wins the court and all these other contractors and get multiple bids and all this stuff, you're going to quickly stop doing real estate because time is your factor. Which one is likely to stop you? Right, I would argue the cheaper property is more likely to have issues and cause you never to buy another one. Where pride of ownership, you sort of set it, forget it, you get conservative financing in place and you're good to go. Obviously, this should be obvious. Which one gives you cash flow sooner? Frankly, one of them pays you day one doesn't. One of them is extremely low risk, right? You sort of set it, forget it based on your conservative financing. The others, you have so many external variables that you have a lot of risk for at least 6 months. So again, I focused on price way too much in the beginning. Hopefully it's coming across that price is the probably the absolutely wrong thing to do if time is your concern. I was wrong and didn't grow nearly fast enough because I was taking what would have been down payment money and using it to repair something, for remodels. Again, I'd be in much better shape if I didn't do this. Lost a lot of time, right? Where I should have been focused on finding the next deal. I was focused on finding contractors, getting multiple bids, driving down there to see how the remodel's going. And I could have been driving properties. I had negative cash flow for a long time, right? Those 4 to 5 months I had negative cash flow because I wasn't collecting any rent. I was dealing with an eviction. I was dealing with a remodel. I was dealing with a vacant house. And I still had to pay mortgage payments, still paid insurance, still paid taxes. And I wish I would have learned this in the beginning, but hopefully some of you are seeing that that's the wrong option for you. My Excel spreadsheets lied to me. They just flat out lied, right? I ran the Excel spreadsheet on 150K house or 140. I forget what the example was. Saw that I've raised rents and, hallelujah, things would be great. It just, reality doesn't work that way. Real estate just doesn't work that way. So again, right in closing, hopefully you understand that if you're a busy professional and time's your factor, you need to be focused on pride of ownership rentals. You need to be reaching out to me, and if you're interested in Fresno, and because that's exactly what I'm creating. I have a couple more coming up that would be perfect for someone starting out. So let me know. In the end, I think we just went over 200 subscribers. Shout out to Bay Area Wealth Builders and the Central Valley Real Estate Investor Groups. They both had me out to speak in the last 10 days. Had a great time, both in the Bay Area and Fresno. Love to meet all you guys, and hopefully many of you are watching this, so shout out to you. Do me a favor, leave a comment, hit the like button. It really does help the channel, and most importantly, share this on your social media platform, because again, my goal is to get to 1,000, and we're a long way off. So in the end, thank you very much.